The Cycle Frontier has done something very risky by revealing a huge chunk of their upcoming plans for the game. Now, why is this risky? We as gamers love to hold them to every single thing that they might even think about wanting to do for the game or think about adding into the game. And so today I would like to take some time to form some honest opinions and maybe some speculation about the things that they've revealed for Season 2 of the Cycle Frontier and beyond. Now, as many of you know, I am one of the Cycle Frontier partners, so I can't reveal certain things to you as of today. So today I'm going to be acting as if I know nothing, and I will be completely basing all of my information in this video off of speculation because I do not want to get hunted down because I broke NDA. Pull up a chair, get out your tinfoil hat, and let's get started. The next big thing in the Cycle Frontier is Season 2. They've told us a lot about it. I'm going to go over the biggest things that are being added to the game in Season 2 and my thoughts on them. They're introducing Map 3, Tharis Island. You've probably heard about it. It is going to be the hardest map that is currently in the game, and it's going to be locked by quest. Now, some things about that. I think that yes, it will definitely help the cheater issue because since the Cycle Frontier is a free-to-play game and people can just continue to make new accounts after they're banned for cheating, if it takes a considerable amount of time to unlock this new map, then it may not be worth it for cheaters to go through all of that work just to get to the third map. So fingers crossed, that's going to mean a lot less cheaters and a lot more enjoyable experience for us. Tharis Island looks very different to the other maps that we've seen. There is a lot more close quarters combat and obviously a lot of choke points and pathing differences since the majority of the map is underground. My two main issues with Tharis Island are the lighting and the camping issues. Some of the lighting in different shots looks really bad. I know that they're currently working on making it better because this has been a frustration for a lot of players for a long time, that either it's pitch black or it's a bright light. And I actually really do like the way that flashlights work in the Cycle. I think it's fun to feel like it's almost like a horror game, but having such an advantage to the person that's hiding in the shadows versus the person that's trying to explore a cave, a dark area, it highly promotes my second issue, which is camping. Since this is going to be a map with a lot of indoor, a lot of underground tunnels, I'm curious how it's going to be with camping, because I really feel like to enjoy a map, you need to feel like you don't have to slide around every corner and duck and do all this crazy stuff. But at the same time, I realize that waiting and trying to ambush someone is a legitimate strategy. I really hope that there's a way that camping is maybe de-incentivized or maybe made more difficult. I'm not exactly sure how they would do this, but if you have any ideas, please put them in the comments. I will share any relevant ideas with the developers, and hopefully we can make it so that this isn't a huge issue with this map. I think that the objectives that are going to be on this map will add a lot more incentive, not necessarily to just sit there, but to go and accomplish things yourself, you know? So hopefully that should help. In the trailer, they mention a little bit more than what they actually mentioned in the patch notes, where they talk about being able to modify high tier gear to have specific perks, and they also mention combinations of perks and different tiers of perks. And I'm using a little bit of inference here to figure that out, because essentially they said the highest version of a perk, which would suggest to me that maybe there's lower tiered perks. I'm not exactly sure. So what I'm really hoping for this equipment modding and gear modding and perks is that I really hope that this isn't something that's an end game event only. The reason why I hope that is because I think that perks and mods potentially for gear could be something that would greatly help the mid game, where it's something that, okay, depending on what my goals are in the game, this will help me reach those goals by the end game. But what makes me worried that it may not actually end up being that way is because it is on map 3 and I have no idea how long it's going to take to unlock map 3. So depending on how it works out, it could be either an opportunity to grind in the end game to get the perfect set of armor, the perfect, bag or whatever it may be. But yeah, it also might feel like maybe not worth it to spend all this time grinding out for this perfect set of gear when you can die at any time and lose all of it. But I do think there's an interesting thing that we have to talk about, which is we're getting close to the end of season 1, and something that I'm noticing as I'm playing is that there are a lot more high tier armor and high tier weapons in the pool of things being used. I know personally, I don't have access to a lot of the, kinetic arbiters or the core 47s, but I'm getting more of them in my stash, even though I can't buy them, because I'm finding people that have them, whether I kill them or I find their body on the ground because somebody couldn't pick up all the loot, whatever it may be. So I do think that even if it's a very difficult grind to get it, I think towards the end of season 2, we'll definitely see these modded gear. We'll see them on people that we're killing. And even if only, a small portion of the player base is actually grinding and able to get these things, they will trickle down to the normies, us people that can't spend as much time on the game as we would like because we have full-time jobs or we have kids or whatever. And so eventually we'll kind of get them just from killing people. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to be very cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what perks are going to be viable, especially for PvP, because that's what I like the most. They also mention a new in-game event. They don't say a lot about it, but I'm assuming that it may or may not have some sort of connection with some of the other mechanics that are being introduced to the game as well. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. They also mention improving the contracts and the rewards from the quest lines. And I think this is great. On Reddit, there's memes about how bad some of these jobs are and how they're not worth it. So I really do hope that they have taken another look at all of those jobs and make it so that a lot of these things are less tedious and more rewarding for us, the players. This also applies to the new Fortuna Pass that will be available in Season 2. They do mention that it means more unique cosmetics, so potentially we'll be actually getting weapon sprays that we can actually use on all weapons. They also mentioned for Season 2 that ping restriction will be something that will be introduced into the game, and hopefully that means that at least me over here in the EU and people in the United States won't see as many people coming from the Asian servers, because obviously there is a correlation between the amount of cheating and which servers you're on. So hopefully that should help out other people. Obviously I feel for the people that live in Australia, because they're still going to be in the same region. They also are going to be introducing a lot of new anti-cheat stuff as well. They're improving a lot of internal processes and coding so that the process that is required to go in and create cheats for the game will be a lot more tough, which means that either it will take longer for people to come up with cheats, which actually gives the anti-cheat team more time, because cheaters are very resourceful. The people that make these cheats are very intelligent. It's a constant battle between the people that are making money from making the cheats and the anti-cheat team, which is figuring out how they're breaking the game and going in karate chopping them. So yeah, another huge one is the Reconnect feature. If you get kicked out of the game for any reason, your game crashes, the power goes out, your internet cuts out, you can get back in there. That is amazing. That is huge. Much love. Thank you. We appreciate it. And that pretty much sums it up for Season 2. Just a little bit of info before we move on to Season 3 and their plans for that. I will say that Season 1 has been extended by a couple of weeks. I'm assuming this is because Map 3 maybe wasn't ready exactly. They've said that the wipe cycle is around 3 months, but it could change. And I think that, as we get more content in the game, I think the seasons could last longer because it will take us more time to progress through the content. Keep that in mind. And also, in between seasons, do remember that the only thing you keep is your Aurum. So if you're looking at what to do with your last couple of weeks in Season 1, try and upgrade your Aurum generator as much as possible. And remember to log in to get those Aurum tokens every day so that you don't miss out on it, so that you can buy all the lovely skins. Season 3, all right. So Season 3 is called Tools of the Trade. and I'm not exactly sure what that means. I've been a part of some of the focus test group meetings where people have requested things like grappling hooks, jetpacks. If you played in the old cycle, you'll know that there were jetpacks. There weren't grappling hooks, but it's an interesting suggestion. I don't actually think that that's what that means. The developers have definitely said that if they ever add anything like that, it's going to be a very specific thing. It's going to be very limited in the way that you can use it, because they don't want people flying all around the map. This is not Star Wars. This is not Apex Legends. This is a slower, more tactical type of gameplay. If there's going to be some sort of like a grappling hook, they're going to make it so that there's like a part of the wall or something where it's very obviously like a grappling hook location, I would assume. I can't speak for the devs, but if we just think about the sheer amount of places that literally just vaulting, like mantling up onto a thing, can break the map, can you imagine what it would be like if you had a grappling hook that you could just like, you know, shoot up and like climb things that you shouldn't be able to climb? That would completely break the flow of the map. And there's already enough spots where people get up on things that they shouldn't get up on and, you know, kinetic arbiter people in the head from a million miles away. So let's not do that, yeah? I'm imagining that tools of the trade means more of like tactical advantages, things like traps, maybe the turret. In the old cycle, there was a turret, like a automatic defense turret that could like shoot things. I think that would be really cool. What if you could hold the turret in your backpack and it's really heavy and you have to set it up? Kind of like the dwarf cannon in RuneScape, where you have to have like the different pieces, but then you like spend some time like building it. You know, it could be loud, it could give away your position. If you leave it, then it's maybe a lot of invested resources that you're leaving if you have to like run away from a fight. In the alpha, they actually did have the turret as a consumable for a very short amount of time. I'm not sure if anybody else remembers that, but in fact, if you go to map 2, you can actually see one of these Korolev turrets. If you know the waterfall that's up by Nutrien Farms processing, just to the left of the waterfall, which is to the south, I guess, just to the south of the waterfall, up on a kind of like hill right there, you can actually find the Korolev turret, like personal turret. And it's like broken, lying on its side. So maybe they bring it back. Who knows? I also think traps could be really cool, because in Hunt Showdown, you have things like alert traps that let you know that somebody's nearby, poison traps, and then the concertina traps. So maybe they could have something, some sort of a trap that you can actually set up, help defend buildings, because currently I feel like the way that the PvP feels right now is if you get a good hit on somebody, like you headshot them with the bolt action, or if you get a really nice burst with your weapon, you basically just bum rush them before they can heal and you kind of just win. Whoever gets the first pick pushes really hard and wins. And unless they have teammates or they use gas grenades to block off choke points so that they can heal again, it's a fairly simple PvP experience. And I love the movement, I love the speed, I love the weapons, don't get me wrong, but I think things like traps and other tactical advantages could be really useful for these sort of fights. Who knows? If you have ideas for sort of like tactical tools that could be used in the game, put them in the comments. I'd love to see your ideas. And like I said, I'm always willing to share good ideas with the developers. They've mentioned that the Howler is going to be brought back into the game. I think that they're wanting to bring it in as a storm-specific monster. The Howler in the old cycle was basically like a big flying kind of like bat-looking thing, and it shot these like spines at you, like big, you know, needle-type looking things. And if you stood still, that thing would just blast you, and you'd die pretty quick. I'm out of water. Hold up, I'll be right back. Anyways, the Howler will be a very cool addition to the game. I really do hope that it is challenging and that it is rewarding, because currently it doesn't feel like there's a lot of incentive to stay into the storm. Most of the incentive to stay into the storm currently feels like you want to get an early start on the next day cycle or the non-storm cycle of the game, so that you can get loot after it's just respawned, or so that you can start a dungeon, or even some people are starting laser drills right before the storm so that you can have a relatively uncontested laser drill. laser drill. They've mentioned that there'll be new gadgets and consumables. I really hope that this means that things like the mineral scanner or things like the heavy mining tool get a little bit more love and become a little bit more useful, because currently they're not. Also, consumables, tactical consumables. I'm hoping this means some sort of a stamina shot, something like Hunt Showdown, where you can be like, I don't want to have to worry about stamina. Maybe it's expensive, maybe you have to craft it, maybe you can't buy it until you unlock it from Osiris through some quest, whatever it may be. As long as I can grind for that and I can, then I'm down for that. You know, people don't really feel like the restoration and the tactical shield variants are very useful. Who knows how this is going to be affected in season 2 because of the gear modding, so it's potentially that this will already be changed before season 3, and then in season 3 it'll be new functions with that, so we'll have to see. I definitely want to see some more unique gameplay styles, especially in regards to PvP. They also mentioned that they're going to be bringing new sci-fi weapons. Now, there are several weapons from the old cycle that are still not in the new cycle. For example, the Haze, the Karla, and the Detonator. Now, these are all very expensive and special weapons from the old cycle. The Haze is like a rocket launcher that fires these like purple magic balls that like expand and create this big like area of effect explosion. The Karla is essentially this like kind of mortar rocket launcher thing. The next one, the Detonator, is basically a grenade launcher, and it was, you know, just like any other grenade launcher that you've seen in other games where you kind of have to like arc it pretty hard. So maybe we'll see some of those. I really do think it would be nice to have a use for all the special ammo that we find around the map. I personally haven't gotten to the point where I can craft any of the legendary weapons, the Karma, the Zeus Beam, the Comrade. I haven't gotten to that, and granted, I have a full-time job, but I do play a lot, and I really haven't been shot by them. I haven't seen other people using them. Maybe that's because of cheaters, I'm not sure. Maybe there needs to be some balancing in regards to the legendary weapons and how difficult they are to get. We'll have to see how that works, but I'd love to see any of those 3 weapons come back. Or maybe new weapons that we haven't seen before. All right, that's it for season 3. Post season 3. They say season 3 and beyond. I'm assuming season 4 is going to be a thing. I don't see them changing the naming scheme, but who knows? Consoles are coming in the future. I think once the cycle frontier hits consoles, it will be an unstoppable force. I think this game was made for casual people that want that escape from Tarkov risk reward situation, but they don't want to have to deal with, I have to play 1,000,000 hours of this game to be good at it. I have to play 1,000,000 hours to even have fun at the game. I think once we have console players, and if there's crossplay, hopefully there's crossplay, that'll be huge. I'll actually get to play with my friends that only play on console, so that'd be really, really nice. Yeah. Map 4, I don't know if they have any plans for map 4, but I do think that it would be interesting to see what they do with a new map, whether it's an even harder map or if it's something more like a intermediate map where Bright Sands and Crescent Falls, maybe there's something in the middle. They've also mentioned that guilds will be added into the game. I think guilds will be an interesting way to potentially, like, you know, compare different groups and see who's grinding the hardest. Crafting 2.0, they definitely want to rework the crafting system, and I think that that's great. I definitely would like to see more Tarkov like elements with crafting. Maybe not that we have to have gas burning in the engine to start crafting things, but maybe things like barters with the factions would be pretty cool, where, you know, you can trade specific items immediately with no crafting time. As long as you have those items and the trader is willing to trade it, you can get it. I also really, really hope that there is a way to queue more than one craft, because currently 3 minutes for 5 green stems, it's annoying as all get out. I'm sure you all feel the same, right? You know, we want to be able to bulk do things. If that's not something that they want to give us immediately, then let us earn it. Let us make that something that you can level up in the player quarters. We'll grind for it. We don't even care. We just want it. We don't want to have to sit there and re-queue every single time just to, you know, get 20 green stems or whatever. And I think we're in speculation territory. We're in like idea territory at this point. Please let us craft green and blue variants for attachments. I know that we can craft blue and green scopes, but currently we can't craft blue and green converters. Sometimes I would like to have a converter on my weapon, but maybe I don't want a purple one. Maybe I don't want to spend that much time and resources to make a purple one, but I'd like something like a mid-range item. You know? Shooting range. There was a shooting range in the old cycle, but my personal opinion of the old cycle shooting range was that it was actually kind of garbage, because you essentially picked up an unmodded version of the gun and you could shoot at a target with it, which wasn't very useful, because basically with a shooting range you want what Tarkov has, which is I can put all these attachments on my gun and see which attachments I like best. Maybe it doesn't feel worth it to have the increased ADS speed, but I really want the increased equip speed. You know, you can figure out these type of things. Maybe you say, oh, this gun really needs a muzzle brake, but this gun, I can get away with having a suppressor. Instead of having to test every single weapon and actually risk that loot going out into the world and testing it, you can test it in a shooting range. So please, I know I'm saying please like they're listening to me right now, but having a shooting range where we can actually put on different mods, test out different versions of a gun would be perfect. They've also mentioned new creatures and new dungeons. They already have locations across the maps where they have doors that don't lead to anything. I believe that those will eventually become dungeons. And I hope that there are different types of challenges in those dungeons. And I hope that there are some dungeons that you can solo, you know, because currently the dungeon on Crescent Falls isn't really a great solo dungeon. Maybe if you're a mad lad, you can do it, but me personally don't feel super confident with that. And also there are a lot of people that are pursuing you into the dungeon, killing you while you're trying to go through the dungeon, or camping you when you're getting out of the dungeon. So having more dungeons and different difficulty of dungeons would be really, really nice. But that's all that they mention in season 3. Now, I want to say, why is this risky for them to say all of this stuff? They've told us a lot of their plans into the future. They even call it a roadmap. I work at a gaming studio, and I will say that my company avoids giving out roadmaps, avoids saying or even telling people about what we're going to do next. Now, the reason for that is us, gamers. We make it really hard for companies to want to be open and transparent about their plans. And I will say that Jaeger has done a fantastic job of remaining transparent and trying to share as much as possible about their plans with us, the community. But I will say that we have an opportunity here. They've shared this information with us, and in the next coming months, as we see these things being implemented, we as the gamers have the opportunity to help and support and give constructive feedback about changes and things that they're adding. Let's say in a couple weeks, a couple months, whatever it may be, one of these mechanics takes a little bit longer than what they're expecting. Maybe they're like, oh, we really wanted to have this in for season 3. It's not gonna happen. What we want to say, what we feel is that we feel entitled. We say, you told us that this was gonna happen. You promised, you know? But here's the thing, they don't owe us anything. You know, even if for this free-to-play game, you spent money on cosmetics, that does not entitle you to anything. They are developers, they are real people who are working 9 to 5, whatever, more than 9 to 5. Hell, these people have worked so many hours on this game recently during season 1, trying to fix the cheater issues, trying to fix the bugs, the exploits, whatever. We need to treat them like people, because that's what they are. You, at home, you have the opportunity to be a reasonable and positive member of this gaming community. I want that type of people in my community. And I think that if we can be respectful and mature about all of these things, that we can truly change the industry in general, that we can promote more transparency, more, essentially we can promote a positive gaming culture where instead of freaking out when things don't go our way, or freaking out when things plans change, you know, shit happens. And because of that, you know, it's really scary for these companies to share these things, knowing that they haven't finished all these features yet. This is the future for them too. They're not done with all these things. They haven't set it in stone. They haven't made a build of the game that includes all of these new things. They're hoping. And I hope that you, with me, will hope too, because I want this game to be as good as possible, and I want it to succeed. Not because they pay me anything. I know I'm wearing the Cycle Frontier shirt right now that I got in Germany from the Gamescom event that they had, but they don't pay me for this. I just sincerely like this game and I want it to do well. I feel like there have been so many games recently where people are so excited. Player 2 talked about this. You overhype the game, you set up people's expectations for failure, and then the gamers rage. Let's not rage. Let's be supportive. Let's be constructive with our feedback. If you have good ideas, give good ideas. If you don't like something, let them know, but in a constructive way. You know, don't say this sucks. Say, hey, I think this feature could be improved by doing this. You have time on your hands, come up with ideas. If you think that there's something that could be better, go onto Reddit. The developers, the community managers are reading what you're saying on Reddit. They know. They're not oblivious. They're not stupid. They know. They can hear. They see all the messages. Whether they choose to respond to you is a different matter, because I know as a community manager at my company, I don't respond to messages that are disrespectful or that people are raging. I don't want to promote that type of behavior. Let's do better. Let's be a better community, and let's get freaking hyped, but not overhyped, for season 2 and beyond in the Cycle Frontier. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.